what's the central part of your training? Is it running? Is it sparring? Or
Is dodging the nightclubs and the parties and the girls. You want the truth? And being in the bed by yourself at 9 o'clock at night. And if you can get by that, you'll make it. Yeah, that's the truth. Now, I'll tell you the truth. You talk about running and hitting the bags and jogging and biting and you know. Dodging ladies is the main thing. Especially when you're pretty like me.
What's good, Authentic fam? Welcome back. We doing it again. Authentic Alphas. Another set of tips for that ass. This particular video, the topic is going to be dodging women and crossing finish lines. So we'll try to keep it quick, but basically this is about staying focused and a state of mind that you could or should be in if you value my advice, right? Now I want to talk about 3 categories of guys, right? We got guys that are losing, right? Whether we want to call them losers or we just want to say they're currently losing. Then we got guys that's about, slightly above average. They're making it. They're making ends meet or whatever. And then you got guys that fall into the category of either lucky or they're high performance, right? So I want you guys to focus on those 3 categories and why all 3 of them need to still dodge women and cross finish lines, but differently and for different reasons. So let's start at the bottom of the barrel. And we'll talk about the guys in the loser category. Now, whether they're being referred to as losers, they're calling themselves losers, they're underperforming, or literally losing at shit. Either way, we're going to put all these guys in the same bucket right here, okay, guys? Now, should this be you might want to take some fucking notes, all right? Because there's nothing wrong with losing per se in the past. If you lost, okay, you lost. The question is, what the fuck is you doing about it, right? How are you reacting to this result, okay? Now, if you're in a constant state of failure, the question is, are you applying yourself? That's the question. If you're failing, but you're constantly applying yourself, some people it just takes a little bit longer to come out on top, to come out with the win. And you don't know if it's going to be 99 times that you had to try before that 100th time you got it, or is it going to be 101? Is it going to be 103? But if you give up, it might have been you might have been 1 or 2 tries away, guys. All right. So this category of guys needs to avoid women because they're not getting any damn women. So they need to avoid thinking about them. They need to avoid desiring them. And they need to rechannel that fucking energy. Rechannel that desire. Because what happens with these guys today, right? Because I noticed it like today. I see it today. When I was younger, I didn't see it too much. I felt like guys understood. They had to compete. They had to apply themselves and actually win in order to be entitled to the spoils of success, right? But today, I see guys whining and complaining and acting entitled to shit, yet they didn't even try, nor did they win. So it's kind of confusing. It's like, why would you have these things that you see on Instagram that you're like crying about not having, and you're not doing any of the things that anybody's doing to acquire those things? I'm a little confused, right? Okay. So you need to rechannel that energy. If you want these things so bad, whatever it is, whether it's relationships with women, whether it's sex with women, whether you want money, cars, whatever the hell you want and wherever you want it, you need to rechannel that desire. Because if you don't channel it, what happens is you become just resentful, you become just disappointed and unsatisfied, and then you become depressed, and you start putting all these names on the shit, and really they don't need names. It's just you not applying yourself. It's just you underachieving. That's what it is. It's not depression. It's not the dating market sucks. It's not life is unfair. It's not all of that shit. It's just you're not figuring out what you need to do to win. So you need to put that in front of you and reverse engineer and say, all right, what do I need to do to get more of what I want? And I'm not going to give up, and I'm also not going to feel anything. You need to turn your feelings off and know that there's a time and a place to assess the situation. So if you're in a losing situation and you haven't applied yourself yet, now is not the time to have a conclusion, to come to a conclusion. You need to say, you know what, let me figure out what I got to do. Let me apply myself. Let me bust my ass. Let me ask the right questions. Let me seek the help, seek the knowledge. Let me exhaust myself in all the possible things that I could do to improve and to better myself. And then is when you can go ahead and assess the situation and say, does it really suck? Is it really unfair? But you have to at least overturn all the stones first. All right, guys? All right. Now let's talk about the guys that are like a little bit above average. They're doing well for themselves or whatever. Maybe they're already earning money. They're already stable, whatever the case may be, right? Now, these guys need to avoid women, but for a different reason. Not because they're not getting them, because they might already be getting them, or they might already have one, right? So what they would need to do is make sure that they're putting themselves first. They're constantly challenging themselves, constantly trying to improve. Yes, things are good. Yes, I'm living good. Yes, I'm earning good money. Yeah, but could I be doing more? Could I be better? Could I be more successful? And this is very important because these are the type of guys that run the risk of being complacent and getting comfortable. And then something might not work out. And then they'll look back and see all that dead space when they were just mundane. They were just doing the same shit over and over again and just staying at the same place when they could have been putting in the grind in that time frame to better themselves and improve themselves. That way, if anything went wrong, maybe their chick left them or whatever, they'd be like, I'm still a better man than I was back then. So either way, I'm still progressing. But if you stand still for a chick and then for whatever reason that chick leaves you or she gets fat, whatever happens, bro, okay, you are going to regret the time and the opportunity that you wasted. And this happens to a lot of dudes because you get comfortable, you know? You might have a chick that's like actually cooking for you. You start eating and getting fat, getting lazy. You're not pushing yourself anymore. People at the job are getting promotions and raises. And you're like, I do okay for myself. All right? So those slightly above average guys, they need to keep on pushing and keep excelling. Now, let's talk about the guys that are lucky or they're just straight up players, right? The skill set is up there. Now, these guys, they need to also avoid women and cross finish lines, okay? Just because you're good at something doesn't mean you shouldn't be looking for other things to become good at and to excel at. Just because you're actually getting chicks does not mean you should let them distract you. It shouldn't mean that you should be partying all the time just because you know everybody and you're the life of the party. Just because you get in the clubs for free doesn't mean you should be clubbing. Just because you know a few bartenders doesn't mean you should be getting wasted every night. Just because you got a lot of hot chicks in rotation doesn't mean you should have a lot of hot chicks in rotation. If you understand what I'm trying to say. Just because you could smash chicks every damn weekend doesn't mean you should smash chicks every weekend. Because you will also run the risk of looking back and saying, what the fuck did I do with the last 5-6 years? Well, I was partying, I was hanging out, I was hooking up all the time. All right, well, what is that worth now? Oh man, I got a lot of good memories, man. I got a lot of good times. All right, but what about the guys that were buckling down for that 6-year period of time? Oh, they have companies. They're making $1 million a year now. They got all these investments. They got all this shit that's maturing now because they already planted the seed. You see what I'm saying, guys? So on all three of those levels, you have to stay animate. You have to stay ferocious. Going soft is a habit. You got to keep yourself mean. All right, guys? So I just wanted to share that shit with you motherfuckers real quick because I see a lot of dudes getting all comfortable and holding hands and kissy cheekies and all of that shit. And I'm just like, man, you spending a lot of fucking time, bro, feeding the ducks and all this other bullshit that this chick wants to do. You should be building a damn company. You should be expanding what you've already accomplished and getting into more endeavors and putting more on your plate and challenging yourself further. Because as we know from history, it seems like the dudes that break records, the guys whose names go down in history, the guys that are legends, for some reasons, none of them seem to have been put abroad before them. So a lot of guys need to stop acting like these relationships and shit is some type of end goal or end game or something. Remember, that's not what life is about as a man. That's just some shit you're entitled to when you've achieved a certain level of success and you can provide and you're in a position to protect. It's not a the end all or be all. And I just think a lot of dudes, that's like their focus too damn much. That's dangerous, because you might either never get it and be a miserable bastard, or you might actually get it and then be a complacent bastard. Both are not good. All right, guys. So anyhow, stay fucking focused, man. Avoid these chicks, cross these finish lines. And if you need that reward, I ain't mad at you, but do put it into perspective. Women are just spoils of war. You got to win a war first, guys. All right? Don't get drunk off the pussy. Don't let the pussy make you lazy. Don't let the pursuit of it distract you. All right, guys? Let's keep it authentic.